Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are winding the clock all the way back to look at the piece of software that didn't just run on computers, it basically taught an entire generation how to use them. This is the story of Windows 3.x, and how it took computing from this kind of niche hobby and turned it into the digital world we all live in today.
So before 1990, if you wanted to use a really powerful personal computer, this is what you were looking at: a cryptic, blinking cursor. That's it. It was powerful for sure, but also super intimidating for most people. Then the graphical interface came along and completely changed the game, turning that text prompt into this vibrant, clickable desktop. Now, this wasn't just a makeover, it was a fundamental shift in who could even use a computer.
To really get how huge this jump was, we've got to understand the world it replaced. We're talking about the era of MS-DOS. Literally every single thing you wanted to do, from opening a file to running a program, meant you had to type a specific, precise command. Get it wrong? Too bad. Oh, and you could only do one thing at a time.
And it's important to remember, Microsoft had tried to make a graphical Windows before this, but they were pretty much ignored. The early versions were slow, they were clunky, and they kept smacking into this infamous 640 kilobyte memory wall in DOS, which really limited what they could do. At the end of the day, computing was still a specialist game. It wasn't something for you and me.
But then, on May 22, 1990, everything changed. Microsoft released Windows 3.0. And what's cool is this wasn't some grand top-down project from the start. It actually began as this independent, kind of after-hours experiment by two developers at Microsoft, David Weiss and Murray Sargent. They just believed they could finally make Windows work the way it was supposed to.
And this is really why it just took off. First, it finally looked modern. It had this vibrant, three-dimensional feel that could actually go toe-to-toe with Apple's Macintosh. It gave us the Program Manager and File Manager, which meant no more typing commands. You could just point and double-click on icons. And it included a secret weapon, Microsoft Solitaire. Seriously, it wasn't just a game. It was the most brilliant and fun tutorial for learning how to use a mouse, ever.
But the real genius, the really revolutionary stuff, was hidden under the hood. Its clever memory management system was the key. And the real magic trick was this 386 enhanced mode. It finally smashed through that old DOS memory barrier, which meant that powerful PCs could run multiple programs, even old DOS programs, at the exact same time. This was true multitasking, and it was an absolute game changer.
And the world? Well, the world definitely noticed. Windows 3.0 became a runaway smash hit, selling a staggering 10 million copies. After years of trying and failing, Microsoft finally had a monster success on its hands, and the personal computer industry was never, ever going to be the same.
And the momentum just kept building. 2 years later, in 1992, Microsoft didn't just sit back and relax. Nope, they released Windows 3.1, which basically took the revolutionary formula from 3.0 and polished it, making it super stable, reliable, and even more friendly for the average user. And boy, was the world ready for it. The appetite for this new way of computing was just insatiable. Windows 3.1 sold over 3 million copies in just its first 3 months on the market. The revolution was officially becoming the new standard.
Now, one of its most important innovations, and one that we kind of take for granted today, was TrueType fonts. This gave everyday people access to professional-looking scalable fonts like Arial and Times New Roman. For the very first time, it guaranteed that what you saw on your screen was exactly what was going to come out of your printer. This idea made desktop publishing a reality for pretty much everyone.
It was also just packed with features that are now totally standard. It was way more stable, which meant fewer of those frustrating crashes. It gave us screensavers, built-in multimedia support with things like Media Player and the Windows Registry, and of course, it gave us the legendary, productivity-destroying game Minesweeper.
But the impact here didn't stop with individual PCs. The Windows 3.x series was also about connecting them. And in doing so, it laid the groundwork for the modern networked office that we all know.
So there was this special version called Windows for Workgroups, and it introduced a concept that was just transformative for small businesses: simple, built-in, peer-to-peer networking. What that means is you suddenly didn't need a super complex and expensive central server just to connect a few computers.
All of a sudden, for the first time, sharing a file with a coworker, using a printer that was all the way down the hall, or sending a quick internal message with Microsoft Mail, it all became this seamless, integrated part of the Windows experience. The collaborative office was officially born. The impact of the Windows 3.x era is almost impossible to overstate. It wasn't just another successful product, it was the actual foundation for the next 30 years of personal computing, both at home and at work. As you can see here, it was the essential bridge. It grabbed the computing world from that weird command line past of the 80s and delivered it right to the doorstep of the fully graphical, internet-ready future of Windows 95.
This incredible success also cemented Microsoft's dominance in the market like nothing before it. Think about it. With everyone now using Windows, the demand for Windows-based applications like Word and Excel just exploded. Their market share went from just 15% to over 60% in 5 years, completely overtaking the old giants like WordPerfect and Lotus.
But here's a really fascinating final chapter to the story. Even after Windows 95 came along and made it obsolete for most of us at home, the story of Windows 3.1 wasn't quite over, not by a long shot.
Because it was so incredibly stable and so lightweight, it lived on for decades as what's called an embedded operating system in some truly mind-blowing places. We're talking in-flight entertainment systems, retail cash registers, and, get this, it was helping guide pilots at Paris's Orly Airport all the way up in 2015. It's even reportedly still involved in controlling some high-speed trains in Germany today.
So while the software itself is clearly a piece of history, its foundational ideas, that visual language of icons and windows, scalable fonts, the simple act of dragging and dropping, they're still with us every single day. Windows 3.x was without a doubt the operating system that brought computing to the rest of us.